Wait. This meeting started. I'd like to call the order of the roll call, please.
Mr. Wright?
Here.
Mr. Lopez?
Here.
Mrs. Harrington? Here. And Mr. Kirby?
Here.
Okay, if you can all stand, please, and salute the flag, to the flag of allegiance, and then we'll take about 30 seconds for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much. Let's all have a seat, please. Okay, first order of business will be to adopt the agenda. So I need a movement to adopt the agenda February the 2nd, 2021 as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington? Yes. And Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the preliminary items on section B. We are going to move to approve the minutes of January the 12th, 2021 as presented.
Actually, it's the minutes. Yeah, never mind.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes for?
I move we approve the special minutes meeting minutes and the regular meeting minutes of January the 12th in its entirety. I second.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Ms. Harrington?
Yes.
And Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, we are going to recognize now the students of the month, and it looks like we have a full house today, which is great. It's always good to see. Rotary Students of the Month first for February from Casa Grande Union and from Vista Grande. Who's going to be presenting that? Our new assistant principal.
I get to pinch hit and present to a young lady who I've known personally for a long time, so it's kind of cool. We have Ileana De Silva. Mom, do you want to take pictures or join from back there? Mom Leticia is here. It's nice to see them. We have a family that had some COVID struggles recently, but they're all healthy and we have them here tonight. We weren't sure if they would make it. Dad, Brandon De Silva, is not here. Ileana is a senior at Union. Whoa, we're almost there, home stretch. Hang on, you got this. She's a member of our Honor Society, Student Body Treasurer and Student Council, Treasurer of Key Club. She's also in Lit Crew. She's an Honors and an AP student. She was also a member of the CGUHSD Elite Dance Company and performed at the Macy's Day Parade in 2018. Personally, she's very involved with her church. She does help teach dance at the studio, and she's been accepted into 5 colleges. Way to go, choices. Some of her career and life goals are to travel across Europe and to go to college and one day become an archaeologist and to give back to her community and keep dancing when she's older. So kind of fun to get to come and hand this to you. So congratulations.
Okay, next will be Riley.
Thanks.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Vivi. Tonight, I would like to recognize Riley Ann Como. She is a senior at Vista Grande High School, and her mother, Brooke Como, is here. Riley is a Link Crew Commissioner and a member of Key Club, SAD, and National Honor Society, as well as a Cavett nursing assistant, at least for a year before the program was discontinued because of the need for nurses everywhere. I believe Cavett had a very hard time helping them find someone to finish the program. She did receive her certification as a level 1 district care worker. Riley was part of Kids Connecting Tutoring Program. She's also been the cross-country and track manager throughout high school. She assisted in all school events from silent witness nights, fundraisers, blood drives, food banks, and many more. She's received multiple Spartan Awards and Manager Awards from cross-country and track, and has been an honor student all 4 years. Some of her personal activities and accomplishments include volunteering at CAC's 5K run, the working with Feed the Starving Children Foundation. She's a member of 4Ocean Foundation that helps clean up plastic off beaches and in the ocean to help preserve our animals and waters from being harmed by trash. She's volunteered at nursing homes and medical foundations, also the humane societies. She's been involved in cleanup groups to help take trash off the grounds of our city and our school. She is part of 2 honors organizations outside of school, the National Society of High School Scholars and the Honors Society. Her life and career goals include planning to attend a 4-year university as a nursing major and receive her Bachelor of Science in Nursing and become a registered nurse. She's currently trying to decide on which school to attend. She's applied to Martin's University in Lacey, Washington, NAU, go Lumberjacks, San Diego State University, and after earning her bachelor's, she plans to attend graduate school and receive her Doctor of Nursing Practice to become a nurse practitioner. Ladies and gentlemen, Riley Ann Como.
Important accomplishments for both our recipients. Okay, now moving forward with the CTE Students of the Month for February.
Okay, Aaliyah? Is Aaliyah here? Come on up, will you? If you guys just stand right here, face the board, please. 6 feet apart. Dr. Beebe, honorable board members, it's my pleasure this month to recognize 2 CTE Student of the Months, one from each of our early childhood education programs. Our first recipient is Aaliyah Alvarez from Vista Grande High School. She was nominated by her early childhood education teacher, Ms. Cassandra Yo. Aaliyah is currently a junior at Vista Grande and is in her 2nd year of early childhood. She is a dependable and hardworking student that always puts 100% into anything that she does. She extends her generosity in the classroom as well as in the preschool. She is always willing to lend a hand to her classmates and the staff in the preschool. Aaliyah is currently serving as the president of FCCLA. She has always been upbeat and willing to make this program a success. She has brought experience from cheerleading and student council into the program and has enriched the program because of these experiences. Aaliyah, congratulations, and Aaliyah's parents, I believe, are here, Danny and Priscilla Hernandez. Next is Taina Ojeda from Castrand Union High School. Taina was nominated by her early childhood education teacher, Miss Kathy White. Ms. White said since her first day in the program, her sophomore year, Taina has made her mark on the program. Taina adores children and always looks for ways to make educating preschoolers more fun and engaging. During her first year in the program, she arranged for the first ever preschool talent show. The show was standing room only and featured over a dozen amazing performances. That can be difficult with little ones. During her second year, she began researching a career in special education. She shadowed a teacher of special needs preschoolers and assisted with lessons. Now a senior intern in the Cougar Cove Preschool, Taina is equally adept to teaching preschoolers and mentoring her high school peers. Taina decided this school year to take concurrent enrollment of early childhood education classes with CEC. She is a first-generation college student and is committing to earning her ECE college certificate and then associate's degree. Taina, congratulations. This one didn't open. Here we go. And Taina's parents are Michael Ovida and Veronica Taylor. Congratulations. No, you're not doing that anymore. Okay, you can't do that. You can give them a virtual high five. There you go. Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, we're now going to recognize the the employees of the month. So let's have our presenters come up forward, please.
Mr. Lopez, members of the governing board, I'm going to ask Mary Ann Emerson to come up to the podium to read the names of the employees of the month for February. And employees of the month, because of social distancing, if you would, once your name is called, if you'll come up here, we'll let you pick up your plaque. I can at least say congratulations to you. And we look forward to honoring you right now.
Jackie Stillwell. Lorena Padilla. Should be the second one.
Yep.
Karen Smothers. Stephen Fillion. Bradley Harvey. Marianne Cricket Hampton. John Craig. And Brad Kepler.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you.
Okay, before we move on, I'd just like to take a moment to thank the Big House once again. They are our Employee of the Month sponsor. They host our breakfast for us. And so all of the employees who were just recognized tonight will get to join me for breakfast next Tuesday at 7:30.
Good. Okay, next is the call to the public. I'm gonna look to my left and see, do we have any call to the public today? Okay, good enough. Moving on to reports and presentations, we have our superintendent's report. Mr. Superintendent, you have the floor.
Mr. Lopez, members of the governing board, it's always my pleasure. First of all, I'd like to start by also congratulating our golden ticket winners for the month of February, as well as our employees of the month. Travis Brady was our grand prize winner from Vista Grande. Jesus Soto from Vista Grande, Christina Ramirez from Casa Grande Union, and Eric Olson from Casa Grande Union. So it's always nice to recognize them as well. Casa Grande Union High School Student Council was awarded the Outstanding Council Distinction Award at the 2021 Arizona Association of Student Councils State Conference. The virtual event was held on Friday, January 26th and Saturday, January 27th. To earn this distinction, members of the Student Council put together a virtual scrapbook highlighting their activities, service project, leadership lessons, and meeting reports. These items had to meet rigorous standards and be signed off by the school principal, Mr. Mabb, Student Council Advisor, Stacy Brady, and Student Body President, Alan Wong. So congratulations to them. Vista Grande's varsity basketball player, Jayla Scott, has been named the Pinal Prep Performer of the Week. And each week, nominations for high school athletes are accepted Friday through Sunday for the winter sports seasons. Readers get to vote on Monday up until noon on Wednesday at 11 a.m. So the first place winner is announced every Thursday in the Casa Grande Dispatch. So congratulations, Jayla. Did you know that we have a young entrepreneur at Casa Grande Union High School? Zoe Sharp has been doing nails and perfecting her art for years, but now she's taken on a whole new level. On Saturday, January 16th, Zoe participated in her first pop-up shop in Tempe, where she showcased her new small business on freshly painted press-on nails. So congratulations to her. Merlin D'Souza, Casa Grande Union Senior, has been named the 2021 Flynn Scholarship semifinalist. This year's scholarship competition yielded more than 950 applicants from the most talented high school seniors in Arizona. Students with sharp minds and impressive records of accomplishment. From those 950 plus applications, the Flynn Foundation chose 78 semifinalists. So the next step in the selection process for each student is to have a 20-minute Zoom interview with their semifinalist interview committee. And so good luck to Merlin. And if you did not know, Merlin has also been accepted to attend Harvard University in the fall. So, yes. I want to say a big congratulations to the Cougar Varsity Spirit Line, who competed in the AIA All-Girl Division II show cheer. 11 teams competed for 6 top spots for the championship competition. The Cougars placed second and will now compete on March 6th in the state championship. So, and then just as a reminder that this is National School Counselors Week this week. So I'd like just to take a minute to publicly thank our counselors in our district for the work they do for our students and our families. We very much appreciate all of them and all they do for us. So make sure you thank the counselors this week. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Beebe. All righty, moving on, we now have Ms. Mary Ann Emerson to talk about the presentation from Human Resources.
Good evening, members of the board. It is my pleasure to present the Human Resource Department. It was established in July of 2006 at the auditor's request. Prior to that, we did not have an HR department in the district. And so I was hired July 1st, 2006 to start the department. As the director of the Human Resources Department, I am also the student hearing officer. Thank goodness we haven't had very many of those this year, so in fact, none at all. So we're in good shape this year. So also I have Penny Ann Molina. She is the Human Resource Supervisor. She's with us tonight. She was hired in November of 2020 and is oversees payroll and human resource functions. Sorry.
Oh, you know what? Another 12 one, you got it.
Nope.
Only got it. No, hit that little thing right there. Okay.
I did. All right, it's not working. We've even practiced.
Just one more second.
This is not part of my 5 minutes.
Oh, you got it. That's one of the.
Wait a minute, why is it not showing on the screen here? No one here.
That's the IT guy wants it. This is mine, it always works.
Yeah.
No, go to the other one. She's got 2 of them open, that's what happened.
There we go.
Don't touch anything else. Sound like my husband, don't touch it. So Penny Ann Molina again joined us November 2020, and Mary Jane Radel, who is our payroll tech, she's been with us since 2004. She's had many titles and many directions, but the main focus is that she does do payroll every 2 weeks, so people do get paid. She's the hero of the team.
Mary, still not working?
No, it is, it's Mary Ann.
Okay. So from a human resources standpoint, you can see that we are many things to many different people. You know, for my friends, they think I sit in the big palace every day and fire people. Not happening. My mom used to think that I was on top of the world and I ran the building. Society thinks, again, that we sit in front of employees and we tell them what they do well and what they don't do well. Our employees think that we just sit at our desk with our feet up, waiting for them to call so that we have something to do. What we think we do is we think we build relationships. We think that we help people out when they're in the most need. When it's Friday night, they're standing at Fry's Pharmacy and they don't have the right insurance card, can't get the medication. They know that they can contact one of us to help them. So we hope that that's what we do, is build relationships with our employees. And what we really do is push a lot of paper, even in a paperless world. Where's Dave? Don't listen to me. There's no paper. It's all electronic. No, we're moving to electronic, but it is a lot of paperwork. Okay, I'm doing exactly what you're telling me to do. Even the most rehearsed doesn't work. Okay.
Next one.
Yep. So I've kind of broken our department and our functions into 3 different areas. One is bringing people on board, hiring, bringing them in, making sure everything is set up so that when they do come in, they are hired, that they do get their first paycheck, that they do have their contract, background checks are done, fingerprints are done. We make sure that when we bring them to you, that all of that's done ahead of time so that when you vote to hire somebody, you know that the backgrounds have been done, references have been done, certifications are correct, or at least appropriate for what we're utilizing our employees for. As we say, we're not regular HR people, we're the cool HR people. The second phase of an employee being with us is the maintenance side of the house. And as you can see, there's a couple different slides and there's a lot of words on them, but really what we do is we maintain all human functions. So anything people need, from coming on board to getting paid, to having their benefits, to getting their dependents covered, to life insurance, to additional life insurance, to FMLA, to short-term disability, to workman's compensation. We manage all of that in between. In between that, we also do all of our state reporting that's required on your behalf. We do the teacher application, index application, and that's how we get our funding, is by teacher experience, through the CIDR report. And then through the teacher application, we put in what everybody's teaching, what subjects they're teaching, and what their certifications are, and whether or not they are appropriately certified or not. If we have teachers that are not appropriately certified according to the state, then we start working on what we call corrective action plans. And it is a corrective action plan in discipline aspect. It's a corrective action plan in helping them become appropriately certified so that we can keep them employed and they can do good things for our hosts. We work currently with 2 different sponsors, J1 sponsor groups, and we have 16 that are leaving us this year, and then we have an additional 5 on top of that that are still with us. So we've had quite a few international teachers, as we refer them to, and there's a lot of paperwork with bringing them here, a lot of paperwork with keeping them here, extending their programs, and then sadly, paperwork to send them home. In that sending home process, we also work with 2 different immigration attorneys. They used to be one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast. Now they're both, one's Midwest and one's East Coast. And they've worked with us on some H-1Bs. We do have a teacher currently that's on an H-1B that's back with us. And we have 9 other teachers that are home right now waiting for their H-1Bs to be approved. We'll know sometime around April 1st if they get approved. All the teachers that we bring in from internationally are in the high need area. They're in our sciences, and not just our general sciences typically, they're in our physics, they're in our chemistry, they're in our biosciences. Those are the areas they typically will help us out with. And then we also have them in our math. A lot of them teach the high-end math as well.
So it just kind of helps us. We have great teachers, obviously, that are US citizens that are helping us with those areas as well. We just don't have enough of them. So we have chosen to go international and try to help us out. Also with maintaining, when Dr. Beebe came on board, he asked us to go paperless. Wasn't a joke. So we have expanded our visions program that we typically only used for finance up until 2 years ago. And we were able to bring it on board with us so that we could begin paperless. We now give our contracts out paperless. They're all electronic. We now have employee portals where employees can go in, they can change their taxes, they can do their direct deposit changes. A lot of our information goes through there. When we were originally started with our COVID programs and stuff, we had a lot of forms going through that portal so people could get it anywhere. They can access it anywhere they are. And so that ended up being a nice bonus to when COVID hit us, because we had an electronic portal already started and going. So we really seemed seamless during the time frame when people were not on board with us. Again, Dr. Beebe asked us to establish the golden ticket and employee of the month. So we've been doing that monthly for the last 2 years, year and a half. And so we manage that program outside of our office. We also coordinate all the wellness programs. We coordinate all the flu shots. We coordinate biometrics. We have biometrics come on board, take your blood, tell you what's good about you, what's bad about you, so that you can get to your physician as quickly as you need to. But we have saved a lot of people, believe it or not. We bring in, we had mom, now it's an imaging system that comes in so that our employees do not have to take a day off to get all of this done. We hire subs to run in their classrooms, and they're literally only out of their classroom 10 minutes to get some things done, flu shots, whatever, and they get right back into class. No time is missed. Students don't miss any learning, and our staff gets an opportunity to have a wellness program without costing them anything. So it's really a nice program. And as most recently as COVID-19 vaccinations, we were able to vaccinate 200 staff. So, and when I say staff, I'm including coaches, subs, drivers, bus drivers, food service. So we did it. It was a really good program last week. Second vaccine's coming in the 24th and 26th of this month. The last kind of part that we deal with is the exit side of the house. That's when employees leave. The running joke in HR is they never really leave. They just don't work for us anymore. But we do a lot of work for people who exit. We do a lot of work for years after people exit. Because typically, anywhere they go, if they go to another state, if they take another job, they need reference letters out of their files, they need their transcripts out of their files, they need us to verify that they taught what they taught for the years through Arizona Department of Education. A lot of them need help with their professional development so they can get recertified. We have people who give us their only copy of their fingerprint cards and their certificates, and so we end up copying those quite a bit for people. We are getting better at trying to get more of that on the portal so that people can get it on their own, but we do not keep them active after they leave, so we still have to help them out after they leave. We also do all the COBRA side of it. We have a third-party vendor that we work through that does all the notifications for COBRA so that people don't miss an opportunity if they need insurance when they leave. And then, of course, we always submit for Arizona State Retirement for their, if they choose to take their portion out, even if they're not retiring, or if they're retiring, we help them through that process. We have some statistics, and I will tell you it's very fluid. As a matter of fact, I submitted this on Friday afternoon, and we had to change Friday afternoon after it was submitted. So just letting you know it is fluid. We have approximately 168 certified staff, and that includes teachers, librarian, behavior coaches, and school counselors. We have 140 classified. That includes our interventionists, our paras, our nurses, our related services, clerical, security, IT, maintenance, warehouse. We have 19 administrators, which is superintendent, principals, assistant principals, directors, and department directors, athletic directors, and department directors. Our last 5-year turnover rate has been under 20% as an average. So that's not a bad stat when you think about, people were angry for a while because we couldn't give raises. People were, upset because the state wasn't funding education. So we've had a pretty steady staff. When you think about 80% is a pretty good steady staff. Now we have 2 long-term subs in place. We had one when I did the PowerPoint. We have 6 non-appropriately certified staff, which out of 168 is not a bad stat. You talk to different schools and they've got a ton right now. You look at all the surveys that are taken, we're in very good shape. So I can tell you, our certified staff, they are appropriately certified and they're doing a great job. Again, we have 16 J1 visa teachers who are leaving us in May, and they are in science, math, and special education. Hopefully we'll have a plan to get a replacement and as quickly as we can that are appropriately certified. We do pay 24 extra period pays, which equals 4.8 teaching positions. These extra periods are things that you vote on tonight, you'll vote on for. We typically do them by the semester. When we don't have enough certified staff, we ask you to let our certified staff teach on their planning periods. And so they get an extra $5,000 a semester. It's a win-win for us. We get a highly qualified and appropriately certified teacher in the classroom with the kids. And I mean, they get $5,000. It's not much when you break it down, but it is an extra pay for their planning period. This year we had no findings for payroll or HR in our annual fiscal audit. We're pretty proud of that, considering that 15 years ago I was hired because we had a lot of findings in HR. So we've come a long way, baby. Also, the very last stat is I'm retiring at the end of 2021 after 15 years with the district and 37 years of working in employment. And so I'm excited to leave the department the way it is, in a good shape. And when I got hired 15 years ago, I promised the superintendent then I'd stay 10. I think I've done my part, so I appreciate it. Any questions about human resources?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see where I go to next here. Federal programs presentation, and that will be by Marilyn Gardner, our director.
We're all set.
Right.
Good evening, Dr. Beatty and members of the board. I'm very happy to be able to share a little bit about the Federal Programs Office. And it's very hard to come after Mary Ann. So, want to introduce just the members of the Programs Office besides myself. I have my program specialist, Tina Ogle, and our migrant education liaison, Alba Diaz, and also our new Indian education liaison, David Tagg. So that's everybody in the Federal Programs Office. And this is the same thing that I shared with you last Friday, but I popped it in here for everybody in attendance tonight. But this is all 11 of the grants and funding sources that we currently have going in the Federal Programs Office. The only one that is a little bit unsure is ESSER 2. We're estimating possibly $2.5 million. We should know in the next week or two when the grants open. But all told, it's just slightly under $6 million this year. And the top three grants on the list are all COVID related, so they are a little unusual, wouldn't be a normal grant funding stream that we would have. We have the Enrollment Stabilization Fund through the Governor's Office. We're using it this year to pay for salaries of AOI teachers this year, and we received that in a lump sum in January. And hopefully that will offset a little bit of M&O to be used for other purposes. We also have our ESSER 1 and now the new one, ESSER 2. I gave you the timeframes for those. ESSER 1 goes through 9/30 of 22, but the new ESSER 2 will go an additional year. And so hopefully we'll have plenty of time to spend those funds. I've also given you just some examples of some of the items that we have spent those funds on, lots of PPE and sanitation, all sorts of items to make sure that the air and the surfaces are clean, as additional custodial staff, and so forth. But with the additional funds right now, and all three of these items were appropriate for ESSER 1. But with ESSER 2, they're really emphasizing these areas. And so we're going to be looking at addressing learning loss, school facilities repair and improvement due to COVID, and improvement of indoor air quality in the school facility. So those are three areas they want us to really take a look at. And with the rest of the grant funds, these are standard funds that we have year to year. And most of these funds provide services that you would consider in a support capacity. For example, the Migrant Education Program is in support of students identified as transitory migrant. Their parents are traveling for work. And those students are provided with tutoring, we pay for student fees, summer school, those types of things. Again, a support capacity to assist those students in attaining academic success and also graduating. School safety is actually a new grant for us this year, and it's at the Casa Grande Union High School. And that is paying for a social worker that we have at that site. We did get the opportunity for a second one at Vista, but we were unable to secure a social worker for the position. We're competing with absolutely everybody else in the state. So trying to entice somebody to Casa Grande, we just weren't successful. But we do have the one this year, and we'll keep trying. The Targeted School and Improvement is a state grant, 12 months, and that is to provide support for identified student populations at each school site that are struggling a bit academically. And so each one of the two school sites have two subpopulations they're focusing on, and those funds are there then to try to provide some support for those students. Title I, most everybody's pretty familiar with, been around for a very long time. We do have a pretty strong Title I grant. And again, that grant provides support, tutoring during school, after school, credit recovery. We do pay for part of summer school, all sorts of other support activities for students. Both of the school sites are considered school-wide, and what that means is that every student can participate in the services as opposed to targeted for a special group of students. So any student can participate in these services. We also have Title IIA, which is, again, a federal grant. It's there to support high-quality teachers and principals. And with those funds, we can use them for training and recruitment. So lots of conferences, we bring in speakers. This grant you could use for recruitment if you found it necessary for teachers and principals in hard-to-fill areas. We are not doing that, but we are doing lots and lots of professional development. Melanie mentioned at the last board meeting the collaboration activities, and we do pay teachers to participate with extra duty stipends in all of those collaborations. Title IV, and this is kind of what they refer to as the fun grant, mainly because it provides supplemental money to the schools for three primary areas: to provide a well-rounded education, to improve conditions for students learning, and to improve the use of technology and digital learning. And so these funds can be used to buy such things as band instruments, supplies for the drama teacher. It's some of the supplemental materials that oftentimes you just don't have enough money for, but it's to enhance the classroom experience for the students. And so it's fun because then the teachers get to really pitch their ideas and put in for some of these extra materials. We have finally the two Indian education grants, which we talked also a little bit about last Friday. We have the Title VI Indian Education Grant and the Impact Aid Grant. The Title VI grant is an actual grant application in the sense that you do a budget. We provide students with tutoring, we pay for student fees, we have our Native American education liaison, his salary, and so all of those, the Indian education funds go in support of those students. The Impact Aid funds is generated primarily based on the number of students that are living on the reservation, and we are paid because of the negative impact of not receiving tax dollars from that. That's kind of how they look at it. So they call it impact aid, and those funds again goes towards supporting Native American students in various ways, and tutoring, part of my salary, part of another staff member's salary, because we work pretty extensively with the Native American representatives from Tohono O'odham and Gila River, and coordinating the NAPAC, which is the Native American Parent Advisory Committee, and so forth. So that's just a quick summary of all of the grants that we have. And I welcome any questions you have.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, matters reserved for board action. We're gonna be asking for a motion to approve to extend the bid submission date for employee benefits, number RFP 2021-02 to February the 3rd, 2021 at 10 a.m., which is tomorrow. The extension will benefit the district. So I will need a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve, to extend the bid submission date for employee benefits RFP 2021-2 to February 3rd, 2021 at 10 a.m.
A second. Second.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Harrington,
Yes.
and Mr. Kirby.
Yes.
Okay, so moved. Item B, discussion of the ADHS benchmarks and possible new consideration regarding the current learning modality. It says recommended action, so I'm gonna ask Dr. Beebe to clarify that for me.
Member Lopez, members of the governing board, as promised last meeting, at the last meeting, you as a board voted that we would continue to follow the ADHS benchmarks, that we would wait for at least 2 of those benchmarks to get into the yellow for 2 weeks or more, and then we would look to set a date for students to return. And as promised, I've put this item back on the agenda, and we'll continue to put on the agenda in case there's any board members who have anything that you would like to discuss or any change in the original decision that was made in January.
Just a comment, Dr. Beebe. I'm getting some comments from some students and they keep asking me, when do you think we're gonna be able to go back to the classroom? And I told them that, first of all, we have to have the teachers ready and willing and able to come back to the classroom. And I know that we discussed the vaccines that were available and how much time it's gonna take to actually put them into service. So can you just give us a little idea as far as what it looks like in terms of the vaccine availability for the teachers?
Absolutely. So as Mary Ann said in her presentation, we had a little over 200 employees last week who we were able to work with Sun Life. And employees who wanted to receive their vaccination were able to, last Wednesday and last Friday, be able to get their first vaccination. We also have several of our employees who've gone out on their own and have already had their vaccination. In fact, we have some who've already had a second vaccination because they were able to get in right away when it first started. What I know is that our employees who just were vaccinated with the Moderna vaccine, which now requires a 28-day window between the first vaccine and the second vaccine. So those employees, the 200 plus employees who got their vaccination, will be able to get them again, the second one's on the 24th and 26th of February. And then it's 14 days after that to where you are technically, conceived that you are now been vaccinated. So if you look at those dates, we're looking at about the second week in March for that timeline to run its course.
So it's very possible that by mid-March, we could be in the yellow in terms of those modes.
I would hope so. If you look, I brought last week's benchmarks with me. If you look at it, while they're all red, we're at least going in the right direction now. And again, remember, these are 2 weeks in the rear, so the benchmarks we get every week. So the number of cases has dropped, even though it's still more than the 100 per 100,000. Percent positivity went from 22.9% on January 3rd down to 20.1%. I know if you watch the news today, it's continuing to decline. Percent positivity is definitely starting to drop. And then hospitalizations from COVID-like illness went from 18.7 to 16.4. So we're definitely trending in the right direction. I know I saw this morning on the news, there's another, in Maricopa County, there's another mass state vaccination opening up at the municipal stadium. So they're going to have a second big vaccination. We continue, people here continue. I know that every day we're getting more and more opportunities. But at the same time, I think the thing we all have to keep in the back of our mind too is about 45 of our faculty and staff have not been vaccinated. And we don't know for sure, is that because they're choosing not to be vaccinated or if they just haven't had the opportunity to be vaccinated. So we still have, about 40% of the staff that remains unvaccinated to our knowledge at this time.
Thank you. So at this point now in March, at our next board meeting, we'll be able to look at those benchmarks again and see where we're at.
Oh, absolutely. I plan on putting this on every month. I know that one of the things that has been discussed is can we pick a date? Can we just, put a date? And we've done that in the past. We put a date and then you have to move the date. And I don't know which is better, or, you put a date, so people have a date, and then if you have to move that date and they're mad at you for moving the date. So I don't know where you're going. I think if you look at everything right now, and again, this is just pure speculation. I am not a scientist and I am not a doctor. But if you look at the timeline I just laid out to you with the fact that we have spring break, the third week in March, I guess I'm going to be optimistic and be hopeful that maybe right after spring break, we might be in a place that we could definitely come back, or if not, if it doesn't happen sooner, I don't know, because we'll have to watch the difference. But, if we could come back after spring break and get the entire fourth quarter in person, I think that would be huge.
That would be wonderful. Thank you, Dr. B. Okay, moving on.
President,
Oh.
I got a comment. I kind of pushed Dr. Beebe to encourage you to put this back on the agenda for tonight, because I've got some concerns about, I think we need to start planning to come back to in-person. I know that the elementary school has already set a March 1st date to return to in-person. I know we try to tandem along with them in some ways. I think it's probably a good idea to look at that and see if that's possible. I know we've got a lot, we've always talked in the past about matching families, having kids in elementary and the high school districts. That was one of the reasons why we had such a problem in the fall was the mix of online from the elementary, and we were trying to do in person. So I think this may give us an excellent opportunity to go ahead and select the March 1st date as a starting target, and to start getting ready. That doesn't lock us into a March 1st date. It only gives us the opportunity to start planning for in return. I think if we wait an entire month before we hit that March 1st date in order to start planning again, I have some reservations on whether we'll be able to get back in any time significant to make a difference for the rest of the school year. So, I would encourage the board members to consider setting a March 1st date. And then I know that the trends are heading down like we've seen, and who knows where they're going to be in another 2 or 3 weeks, but they are on a downward trend, and that may work to our advantage to start planning in this process to get ready for it. I just don't think that we're not going to meet for another month, and we may have a lot of opportunities to make some adjustments. So I think it may be proactive for this board to go ahead and make a proactive move right now and set a March 1st date, and then see how it all plays out coming into March and after spring break. So that's my recommendation.
Dr. Beebe, is that something that we can bring to the board tonight as far as making a recommendation to actually set a March 1st date?
Well, it's open for discussion and board action, so the board somebody could make a motion as Member Wright has, and you could take action. Along with that though, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know that Member Harrington, I know you guys have kids in the elementary district. My understanding is that the elementary district hasn't said 100% they're coming back on March 1st. They've said they're not gonna come back before March 1st. That would be as soon as they would come back.
Yeah, so they just sent out, the official communication today saying that the plan is March 1st. And I do have a question, Dr. Beebe. I know that we've received several polls through the elementary school district on behalf of parents asking our comfort level of sending our kids back and our intention of sending our kids back in person. Have there been any polls at the high school level to teachers and parents? I'm kind of curious to see I know a lot of students want to go back, but what about teachers, or what's their comfort level?
We have not pooled our parents, students, or staff this semester. That's certainly something that we can do. And something, we're doing, we are starting to pool parents and students regarding, learning modalities, as we're getting, because we'll start registrations here, in another month or so for another school year, but we have not done a survey, this semester yet. That can very easily be done. And we could certainly see where everybody is.
One point to consider, my concern with setting a date is this, as a parent and as an educator, I want us to be back in school by March 1st. If I could control the world, I would like us to be in school tomorrow, if we could do it safely. What I wouldn't want to see is for the board to be put in a position come March 1st, when we would have to make a choice to honor our goal of starting school when March 1st starts, or honoring what the benchmarks are saying. I just cannot see how we could open schools responsibly and safely with the benchmarks the way they are. I think I shared last meeting about my grandfather who had to go to the hospital. And when they got to the hospital, he lives in Maricopa County, there wasn't a bed for him. And as we have this conversation, I want to ensure that we are thinking of our whole community and the way our decision could affect our community rather than just our teachers and just our students. At the end of the day, I want to ensure that we are honoring the benchmarks as we voted to do last time. And I would worry that setting a date for March 1st, though I wholeheartedly share the desire to see students back in school at March 1st, I would worry that setting a goal to ensure that we would start school then, I would worry that it would put us in a position where we would then have to choose to honor our arbitrary goal or what the benchmarks are saying. And I don't want to see us have to be in that position. Additionally, the only thing worse, I think, for parents and teachers than not being at school is having the false hope of starting on March 1st. And I wouldn't want students and teachers to be in the position of being excited to go back to school and then the benchmarks to not be going our way and then have to push the date back further.
Thank you. Well, it appears that the consensus is that we don't want to set a date for March 1st at this time. Dr. Beebe, can you concur?
If you go back to last month's minutes, basically, we don't have to have another meeting for us to come back to school. You have given me, as a superintendent, the blessing to be able to bring kids back once we've hit those benchmarks for 2 consecutive weeks. So my plan right now is, let's just say this Thursday, we had yellow for the first time. On Friday, I would contact our principals and all of our staff and say, 10 days from now, let's get ready to go, because in 10 days, we could come back should the following week we get yellow again. And so I think having that, even if we were to hit there, we don't have to wait till the March board meeting to come back. You've already given me the blessing to bring us back as long as the benchmarks align. The only reason you would have to make another motion right now is if you want to do something other different than what you originally voted on a motion for too. Then it doesn't mean though, that as Member Harrington has just stated, we probably should pool our parents and staff and just kind of get the pulse of people where they are right now as we're looking to come back. And that can be easily done, and I could certainly get those results and share them with the board even before the next board meeting.
And we don't need a motion to do that.
That's what I really wanted to hear from someone, and thank you for pointing that out, is that, you have the authority to go ahead and put that ball in motion once our benchmarks get into the yellow or the green. And my discussion was only that we're not forcing anybody to come back on March 1st, to give us a target to start planning once those benchmarks got down to that area, to start getting into the yellow so that we can start preparing for that. But now that you have the authority, now I know that you have the authority to do that without another board meeting, that takes the work away from us from having to reconvene the board in a special meeting or waiting until March in order to get that ball rolling. So I think that would work just as well as setting a March 1st date. And, we don't want to come back before the benchmarks get into yellow or better, but, I just think we need to start planning some way in order to make preparation.
Well, and remember, and I will continue as I've done every week. Every week on Thursday, I send you the benchmarks. I send all of our staff the benchmarks, and then we put it on our website so our community, our families, our parents, everybody knows where the benchmarks are. So we can all watch them together and watch as they're training.
Very good. That's what we'll do then. We'll just keep monitoring. Okay, moving on. If there's no further discussion. My mic on so people can hear me. Donations. We have a recommended action and a motion to approve the following donations.
We moved the following donations of $250 from West Canal TNRCD to CGUHSD.
All right, thank you.
Second.
We have a second?
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Ms. Harrington?
Yes.
And Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm not sure who NRCD is, but I'm sure someone here in the room can tell me.
Natural Resources and Conservation District.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, moving on, we've got the consent agenda going on. Items A through I, I'll just read them off real quickly. Personnel, additional and extra duty appointments and stipends, warrants and vouchers, student activity and auxiliary operations, informational reports, club constitutions and purpose statements, district volunteers, disposal items, and review of the policy on the KJGA.
Member Lopez, before you guys would vote, or I guess I have to wait for you to make a motion, then I'll tell you.
I move that we approve consent agendas A through I in its entirety.
It's just been brought to my attention that we have, there's a typographical error on one of the spring coaches stipends. And so I'm wondering if we.
That's not significant. We're just really
Okay.
really approving the people themselves, not the stipend amount, because they have a set amount and those change.
Okay, just, if you look at the decimal, the 4,200 and 42,000 are two very different numbers.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it to your attention.
Let's say we give them the 42,000.
Dang, we got some generous ladies.
We're here.
Can you see the list?
Yes.
It's Coach Keiser.
Oh, Coach Keiser.
Oh, well, he deserves it.
He's saying he's so close.
That's a typographical error, so I'm just bringing it to your attention. That is incorrect, and we will be correcting it.
Can we just make note of it and then approve?
Okay.
Okay, did we approve that?
We need a second
I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
with the correction to the amount for Mr. Keiser.
Yes.
Much to his dismay.
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Harrington,
Yes.
and Mr. Kirby.
Yes.
Okay, moving right along, board items, future Agenda items, do we have anything that we need to consider?
The only thing I would like to consider is the follow-up on maybe doing a poll of the staff and the students and their parents.
Absolutely, we can certainly get that done, and I can get that out to you before we would meet again, in March. Because we have March 2nd is the next board meeting. But if I just want to take a minute to thank you as a board. I know Member Hennis couldn't be with us tonight, but I just want to thank all of you for your commitment to the board and for being here all day. Last Friday for the ASBA training, it was a nice time to be able to spend the day with you and for all to go through and do that learning. So thank you for the commitment and giving up the day to be here last Friday.
Yeah, thank you. Speaking for the board, I think that was a very good opportunity for us to get some education. All right, I think we have now the last part of the agenda, and that would be to adjourn.
Need a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's a wrap.
Dr. Mike?
I'll be home in 30 seconds.